We call upon the government of India to work with us, to take seriously these allegations and to allow justice to follow its course.
Credible allegations. This is what Canada claims to have shared with India in relation to the killing of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil that pushed diplomatic relations between the two countries downhill. And now the US has entered the scene. As per a report in the Financial Times, the US had unearthed a conspiracy to kill Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, a Khalistani separatist leader, and had reportedly warned the Indian government suspecting its involvement. But these are, after all, allegations. The details of the leaked documents remain under wraps. India has always been vocal about terrorism in various international fora and sought support to call out countries like Pakistan.
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism. Victims of terrorism defend themselves, counter acts of terrorism, they call it out, they delegitimize it, and that is exactly what is happening.
India's government has taken necessary steps to secure its borders and its people. But as these countries continue to be safe havens to radicals that fuel unrest in India, is there any shred of evidence behind their claims? Hello and namaste. I am Richa Dwivedi and this is The Bottom Line. Let's begin with a report in The Intercept. This is based on leaked Pakistani intelligence assessments that India's RAW is planning assassinations of Sikh and Kashmiri activists living abroad. It also claims that RAW is working in collaboration with local networks to execute attacks against individuals and religious institutions. First of all, it is Pakistan, which is known to be a breeding ground for terrorists. The ISI has been responsible for some of the deadliest attacks in India and decades-long separatist movement in Kashmir. It has backed the Khalistani separatist movement as well. Therefore, its so-called intelligence leak doesn't come as a surprise. It could be very much aimed at causing unrest in India and also to exploit radical Sikhs by claiming that India is going after them.
As a promoter, justifier, and I'm sorry to say spokesperson of a terrorism industry, which is the mainstay of Pakistan, his positions were called out and they were countered.
An interesting thing to note here is that Pakistan is in a deep mess domestically. The terrorists it has been harboring are dropping dead like flies. Unknown assailants are after them. Pakistan claims they are wrong, but they could be anybody. The Balots are revolting openly. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP is hammering Pakistan's military, and Pakistan is at loggerheads with the Taliban regime. It has driven out thousands of Afghan refugees. Civilians are protesting in POK. Top terrorists may not be that safe there after all. Now that's about Pakistan. Canada's motivation behind the allegations are obvious. The whole world saw the royal snub Justin Trudeau got at this year's G20 summit. India has been urging Canada to act against Khalistani groups in its backyard that have been threatening Indian missions abroad. There's vandalism of temples taking place, referendums are being held and whatnot. But the fact that Justin Trudeau will not be in power if not for radical Sikh groups complicates matters. But it isn't simply anti-India movements that are growing each day in Canada. Gang violence and drug problems are also increasing in the country. This is something that is bothering Canadians, and they are looking to overthrow Trudeau and his government in the next elections. After the killing of Canadian Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, the easiest thing to do was to pin it on some imaginary assassins from India.
Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
India demanded concrete evidence that Canada till date refuses to share. Canada has soured all ties with India, and India's response has been tough. It isn't taking things lying down anymore. India demanded parity in Canadian missions that rattled Canada further, yet the allegations remain simply allegations. Moving on to the US, a Financial Times story echoed the allegations of the Canadian government that a plan to assassinate Seeks for Justice leader Gurpatwant Singh Pannu was foiled and the Indian government's role was suspected, supposedly a couple of months ago. Again, without any evidence. The timing is interesting. The report comes at the same time as the leak of Pakistan's intelligence warning of a similar threat. Now, experts believe that this is a CIA-planted story in the media. There's been no official comment from the US or India on this whatsoever. The question arises, is this a clear attempt to tarnish India's image at the global stage, or is there something more sinister at play here? In recent years, India has emerged as the voice of the global south. India is part of crucial geopolitical alliances, some that also involve the US. Prime Minister Modi's state visit in June to the United States had further solidified the partnership and made it abundantly clear that India has a major role to play in stabilizing the world. General elections are upcoming in India in less than 6 months. So why will India suddenly start an assassination program? Yet, it is important to note that both the US and Canada have refused to extradite wanted criminals to India despite several requests. India has openly urged these countries, even the UK, to act on the threat of growing Khalistani radicalism and their rampant anti-India activities. Yet, they've ignored India's concerns, telling India to cooperate in the investigation without presenting any evidence is only making them look bad. The Western media's efforts to call out India or to put India on trial have failed miserably. India's government has made it amply clear it will not take allegations lying down.
The days when a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over. That means ensuring that rule makers do not subjugate rule takers, nor must we countenance that political convenience determines responses to terrorism, extremism, and violence.
It is a fact that India has been acting tough on terrorism. India faced a wave of terrorist attacks in cities like Ayodhya, Mumbai, and Bengaluru from 2004 to 2014, signaling a threat beyond conflict zones. Responding decisively, the Modi government adopted a zero-tolerance policy towards terrorism. They fortified security measures, especially in Jammu and Kashmir, with a robust intelligence grid. Laws like the NIA Amendment Act 2019 and the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Act or UAPA 2019 were strengthened, empowering agencies to investigate global terrorist activities and target terror financing. The NIA is investigating wanted Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu too. His properties were recently confiscated in Chandigarh and Amritsar. India has maintained that it is not ruling out any investigation, but Canada must provide evidence. Whatever reasons may be, without evidence, India will not tolerate absurd claims.